I request to everyone to like turn on their videos. If you aren't comfortable with the current background, I will be sharing this one uh, on the group. So I guess let's start the meeting. So good day everyone and greetings to you respective of whichever time zone you are currently in. And we welcome you to the masterclass for undergraduate admissions abroad organized by the Studomatrix. And now we are ecstatic to begin the session. And first we would like to invite one of the national directors of Studomatrix, Mr. Rishabh Gupta, to give us some insights about the organization. Rishabh, yeah, hand over to you.
Good morning, everyone. Am I audible?
Yes, Bhaiya, you are.
So, Studomatrix is a non-profit all-India students organization spread across 150 plus cities and has 75,000 plus members. It is representing Indian voices at internationally as the member observer at the Commonwealth Students Association and also the estate member at the Global Students Forum. It is also the host organization to India's G20 Youth Forum. Our achievements and contributions have been covered by the top media organizations, including Times of India, India Today, News 18, Aaj Tak, ANI, Reader's Digest, Dainik Jagran, Z5, and others. Our main work is to reform the school education and provide opportunities and platform to the school students. We're open to the team members across universities as well. If you're passionate about doing something in this direction or giving back to the society, we are the platform you're looking for. Some of the upcoming projects that we have in mind are in hybrid certificate courses, fellowships with think tanks supporting Kendriya Vidyalayas and Navodaya Vidyalayas, and international collaborations. I hand over the mic to Nita Jara.
Thank you, Rishabh. And as everyone in the session is well aware that we would be interacting with the Indian scholars who are currently studying abroad in the prestigious universities around the world. So we would be covering wide-ranging topics and almost all the doubts that we have related to admission procedures in the foreign universities, the pros, the cons of studying abroad, advices and tips for the high school students, their experiences and much more. You can make notes too if you want. And without wasting any more time, I will hand over to Khushi Didi for the first guest.
Thank you, Meet. So we would like to invite our first speaker, Mr. Yangliam Arjun. He is an incoming freshman at the University of Toronto and also an international scholar awardee of a 1 lakh Canadian dollar scholarship. He has received multiple offers from top universities in the United Kingdom, Canada, and the USA. While at school, he was the president of the Model United Club, then Debating Society, and the Social Service League. He is the founder of an NPO working towards building a better life for animals and basic human rights. He also served as the editor-in-chief of several magazines. He is on the board of several international and national organizations and has represented India at several world summits. He is a builder at Civics Unplugged, a New York-based organization. Sir, you got an amazing profile and an amazing scholarship. Please walk us through the way you worked for it, the formal process, and especially what it took from you to become an international scholar awardee for a 1 lakh Canadian dollar scholarship.
Thank you so much, Khushi. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you're perfectly audible.
Okay. So I started this whole journey of college from my 9th grade onwards because people do say that 9th grade is very early to do all these things, but you may not realize that until you come in 11th, because I was in a boarding school for the past 5 years, like my whole life I've been there. So my seniors, I was lucky that I had my seniors because they told me that don't waste your 9th and 10th grades, because what people usually have this misconception that you start building your profile when you come to 11th, because then though you can enter in any internship and all, but it's wrong. Basically I was selected for this 100,000 Canadian scholarship by U of T through my marks, first of all, because academics is really important. Obviously, co-curriculars are also important, but if, for example, in 10th, you're getting below 80 or 85, it would be very difficult. So if you are in 9 now, is the best time to start. So academics, as I said, I scored really good while I was in 10th, 11th, and 12th. So especially when you apply to any universities, especially in the UK and Canada, they are very much academically focused, while US, they are not that much, right? So my grades were good. And even though I didn't give any competitive exams like the ASAT or the ACT, they still, I passed the first round of the scholarship thing because I had the grades. And then secondly, you have to know what you are going to pursue. So you have to be able to, speak about it and whom do you want to learn it from. So they just cross check with it, whether they are giving the scholarship to the right person. Also, they interview you. So I was interviewed and I was very confident about, which professors I would want and, how I would want my life to be there after I pass out from University of Toronto. And there is one more scholarship, which is the Leicester BPSN scholarship. It is like selective to only a few schools, I think, in India, because not every school in India can recommend for that particular scholarship. So if many schools don't know about this, that they are eligible to recommend the students for this Leicester BPSN. But, just a suggestion, as many of you are here today, you can just have, like, this is only for 12th class students. You can just ask your headmaster or principal, whether your school is eligible for the Leicester BPSN scholarship or not, because it's a bigger scholarship than this, which is 100,000 Canadian, a full paid scholarship for the whole, 4 years of your journey. So, and they will nominate you, right? So nomination, only one nomination can go from one school. So you can be the one if you, just, take the step of asking your principal or headmaster, so you can try. And my co-curriculars were good. Obviously, they asked for my resume also. So you have to build it up, your co-curriculars. And I mean, you have to be an all-rounder basically, which might sound difficult, but if you try, nothing is difficult.
Thank you so much.
Mr. Yanglin, you mentioned that you started building your CVs and extracurriculars from your 9th standard onwards. So how do you think your extracurriculars played your path to your dream university? And what would be your suggestion to aspiring applicants regarding the same? Like, what can they do?
Yeah, sure. So when I was in 9th, many schools in India have students who are going to foreign universities, but many of them don't have counselors. I've seen this. And if you don't have a school counselor, the job, of selecting which extracurriculars to do, because from my experience, I can tell this, that being a part only of the school debating society or the school Model United Nations club doesn't work. You have to do something outside the school also, like, clubs and societies outside the school. For example, I'm just giving a few suggestions here, so that you can ask your counselor on how to apply, or you can apply it for yourself. Because when I was in 9th, I wasn't able to apply for this. But again, as I said, I had seniors. So by the time I was in 11th, it was a bit late, but still I could manage, I could juggle all these activities. So there is this international award for young people. It is also known as the Duke of Edinburgh's Award. So it is given to you when you, do this particular amount of service and adventure activities, and then a hobby, a skill that you have developed. So you have to fill in a record book and all. So that was one. And I was awarded with the silver honor by the Duke of Edinburgh. And then we have this New York Academy of Sciences for those of you who are interested in science. And we have the Diana Award too. So basically, most of them, for me, were more extracurricular focused, because academics, that was happening in school, I was doing good. And for extracurriculars also, as I said, there are many, like we have the Yale Young Global Scholars also. So you can apply for that too. And if you search it up, you'll surely find it. But please don't do the mistake of, just ignoring the fact that, no, I am not able to find more than this one too. Don't lose hope. You can always, message the people whom you know have gone, or your seniors, or you can also message us if you have our contact. So there are many. You should just search for it. Like I said, 3 or 4 of them, and I think it will be great. But and also one of the most important thing I wanted to elaborate here is leadership. Colleges love to see that you are a leader, you're leading teams, you know how to control people, because this is what they want. And as per my experience, US and Canada, because UK is very much academically focused, so I'll talk a bit less about it. But US and Canada, they want to see you in every sphere. So you have to be a leader, you have to be a sports person, you have to be like this, academically very bright, everything. So please, and how to become a prefect or a captain. Obviously, you have to work from ninth. So it all comes back to square one. It's totally up to you. Ninth May, you start working, you start engaging yourself in much activities possible, because this time it won't come back, right? And I didn't do the mistake. So I did whatever I could, and here I am today with a scholarship, and I'm going to Toronto very soon. That's it. Thank you.
That's great, Mr. Yanglim. It was an honor to hear about your journey to the University of Toronto.
Thank
I'm
you.
very glad that you shared it with us. And we really thank you for your kind and insightful responses.
My pleasure.
Also, before moving on to the next speaker, I would request the participants to post the questions in the chat box if you have any from the speakers. And now the second speaker, I would like to invite Ms. Meera Nair. Ms. Meera Nair is an incoming first-year student at the University of Warwick, where she will be pursuing BSc BA Economics, Politics and International Studies. In addition, received a scholarship of 13,000 euros of Warwick Undergraduate Global Excellence Scholarship. She also competed at the national level in debates and received rewards at the national level for creative writing from the South Korean Embassy to India and the South Library in the School Library Association. She has a keen interest in public policy and international relations and wants to pursue a career in them. So, ma'am, we have learned that you have great experiences ranging from debating to creative writing and public policy and international relations. Would you mind us sharing a few lessons that you have along the way while pursuing your passion and managing your academics as well?
Okay, first of all, thank you for the very generous introduction. It's a pleasure to be here. And I would like to thank everyone else for being here as well and listening to all of us. I hope this session will be very productive, and judging from the first speaker, there's a lot of great advice to go around. So for the question, by participating in these wide range of fields, what I've gained most importantly is a holistic approach, not just to the admissions process or to college life, but also it applies to life itself. Because when you participate in these wide fields, like creative writing, debating, public policy, and international relations, it kind of helps you view the broader canvas, and it helps you kind of understand things from a much more higher level than just focusing on academics. Because while academics is very important in the admissions process and for jobs and everything, the extracurriculars are what give you a boost and set you apart from the rest of the applicants. It helps you hone these interpersonal and like leadership skills that Mr. Singh was talking about, which is very important, because in the UK the admissions process is more academic focused, but what helped supplement my application was the extracurricular aspect. Because in the process itself, as I talked about, I participated in creative writing contests, and for the admissions process you need to write a lot of essays. So my skills in creative writing were honed by these when writing these admissions essays, and it helped me get a more focused view of what to write and how to write it exactly. And then the second lesson that I've learned would be that rejection is redirection. When you move through life, you will realize that you will get a lot of rejections. When I applied to the US, I got rejections from quite a lot of Ivy Leagues, and I think that that helped me reach where I am today, because I learned a lot from those rejections, and I understood what went wrong. And that helped me better my application for the next universities, that is the UK. So whenever you get rejection, no matter if it's a competition, a dream school, a dream job, whatever happens, just try to learn from it instead of letting it get you down. And that will help you a lot. So yeah.
Thank you, ma'am. The next question for you will be, in what ways do you perceive the academic and social culture of the university you're going to? And what significance do you place on your co-curricular activities for your acceptance in specific?
At Warwick and the UK in general is very vibrant, because Warwick, because it's an internationally reputed university, draws a lot of people from different backgrounds from all corners of the world. So when you interact with these people, you get a broader sense of the world and a different perspective of how the world works, and it just refines your whole worldview basically. And so the academic culture at Warwick, as I was talking about, is kind of reflected by the admissions process. As I've mentioned, and Mr. Singh has mentioned, that it's more academic driven. So the academic rigor in the UK is what drew me originally, because I actually got into the top university in India, that is St. Stephen's, but I'm leaving it because the UK has a much more multidisciplinary approach. For example, my course, Economics, Politics, and International Studies, is more broad-based, and it helps you develop critical thinking skills and problem-solving ability. And I feel that the academic culture is rigorous and challenging, but it helps push you to new levels and helps you achieve the best that you can. And another thing is that, as I mentioned before, extracurriculars will help you supplement your application, no matter which country you're applying, even if it is in India. Because for my Stephens application, for the interview, and we had to write essays, and for that, we needed extracurriculars. It's not just academics anymore. You need your extracurriculars to help develop a more well-rounded personality and to kind of just elevate your application in general. So for any country, no matter what you go to, just try to for yourself, because it helps you develop skills that you would not, with just, by focusing on academics alone. So yeah, that's it.
Thank you so much, Meera. That was amazing, very insightful. Thank you.
So before moving on to the next speaker, does anyone have any questions? So Ms. Meera, the last question that we got was, okay, we are a little bit short in time, so we will move on. The next speaker is Mr. Devan Sharma. Mr. Devansh is a student pursuing the joint BS plus MS program in computer science at the University of Stanford in the USA. He attended the Doon School in Dehradun and has been working as an intern in several tech companies. Currently, he's a software engineering intern in Meta's Reality Labs. He was a founder and in charge of development projects in 2 villages during his school. He is the co-president of the Stanford India Policy and Economics Club. The organization is dedicated to facilitating thoughtful discourse on India-centered issues ranging from a wide variety of political and economic spheres through speaker series, debates, and other related means. He has had the pleasure to host events with numerous political leaders in the past, including Finance Minister Nirmala Sitaram, Secretary Kanwal Sibal, and Civil Aviation, Railways, Commerce and Industry Minister Suresh Prabhu. Mr. Devansh, my question to you is, as you have been living and studying abroad for quite a while, would you be comfortable sharing about the finances required for studying abroad? And when people do the financial planning for foreign institutions, what do they often overlook?
Yes, Alicia. By the way, thank you so much for that generous introduction. And please don't call me Mr. I'm just around your age. Yes, you have hit on an important topic, and that is finances. Now, we have a lot of prestigious scholarship holders out here, but um, I would like to firstly congratulate them for that. But the reality is that by and large, people who do come to the US, and my knowledge is of course limited to the US because that's where I've studied, and that was the only application process that I went through. People who have come to study here are usually those who are paying for it, either through loans or from their own parents' money. Scholarships are rare and extremely hard to find. So if you are thinking of going abroad, particularly to the US, talk to your parents, have a clear discussion with your family as to whether you will be able to actually afford an education abroad or not, because the chances for college for scholarships, as you go higher up in the college rankings list or prestige of colleges, becomes rarer and rarer. um One of the reasons behind that, and I will take a bit of time to explain this, is that a lot of this like it's easier for US citizens and all to get scholarships simply because they it's not the university that actually pays for them. A large part of it is paid for by the federal government. Now, if you're an international citizen, as most of us here are, um the university has to basically pay for your own education through some external donor or not. So you have to apply to very specific scholarships and all. So given that background, the backdrop of that, and overall the decreased chances of getting if you apply with for aid basically, or for some scholarship, my advice would be that if you can afford it, have a discussion about this with your parents early on, like in class 9th or something. I completely agree with Yanglam. This is a very long-term process. You have to start thinking at least in class 9th. um I mean, I might get cursed for it, but perhaps the end of class 8th also. um you have a discussion with your parents. If they cannot afford it fully, see if they can afford it for it partially, and then you can take a loan for the remaining time of your college. You can either take it from an Indian vendor, and if you have a relative or a friend who has a US green card or citizenship, then you can ask them to co-sponsor your loan. Now, if you are going on a loan, as I did, like I took the loan for my last year in college. um you'll have to be very clear about the kind of stuff that you are going to study. Research then, in my opinion, is not going to be an attractive option, because then if you go on to a PhD, how will you pay back your loan? Your loan agency will be after your life. So that's why I think so you will have to choose majors, and maximum you can do is a master's degree, that only, and you can only do that if your loan agency allows you to defer your um repayment plan. So it's which mine did. uh what you have to be very clear is about is that once, if you are going on a loan, then what kind of majors you will study, you will have to study those which basically land you into good jobs, um and also which are associated with the prestige of your school. um what so these were my key thoughts on this whole financial matters. um if you are thinking of going abroad, be prepared mentally to spend a bit. That doesn't mean that don't apply for scholarships. All I'm saying is don't expect one. Yeah, and don't be shy of taking loans. I know that this might seem a bit strange, but like you're so young and you're taking a big loan. But if the college is good enough, then it's worth it. So yeah, definitely, like take all of these factors into account before applying abroad. TLDR would from my side would be don't apply with it. Don't apply with it. I'm being very frank with you guys about it, and be prepared to spend a bit. Shreya asked me, one of the attendants asked me a question about uh, that please tell me the courses that I should join in class 11th before applying to university for computer science. One thing about CS that I have seen is that and generally, not specifically in my college, but generally you'll find that a lot of programmers aren't very strong in math. So you need to have very strong math skills. that will help you a lot in college. If you particularly linear algebra, if you take some outside course or something, it will be great. Calculus is like the bedrock of everything, so be good on that. Calculus, and yes, stats. People do not appreciate the importance of stats for machine learning and AI. It's very, very much necessary. Um I had to take a few stats courses before I could start my ML course, like my theoretical ML courses. So yes, yeah, that's what I would say. That yeah, these are the three things if you are interested in the CS side of things. Having a strong math background, in particularly these things: linear algebra, calculus, but calculus is generic, so I will just say linear algebra and stats. Often people neglect the latter, go for the former. You have to be good at both. Yes. Any other questions?
Okay. So thank you Bhaiya for this question. And the next question was that we are aware about your stellar achievements, and being a Stanford is a dream for like millions of students across the world. So it would be like indeed a required grit, perseverance, and like you had to start early. So at what age or class do you think the students should start like seriously preparing and devoting time for the undergraduate abroad? And like once they have decided to prepare, and what should their ideal plan be?
Um, Thank you, Meet. I will now mostly I will actually reiterate what Yanglam said, because Yanglam was pretty accurate on this matter. Yeah, firstly, my advice would be start as early as possible. Eighth is not the time, okay, to be frank with you. Like seventh, eighth is not the time to be fretting about your college applications. But after eighth, ninth, started from ninth. Don't class 12th mein aake kuch nahi hoga. I'm being very honest with you. 11th mein bhi aake realistically kuch nahi hoga. If you want to go to a good school, then you have to start in class 9th. Like you should plan by the end of class 8th, have the discussion about finances and everything by the end of class 8th, and get started. Meet, could you repeat your question, please? Yeah.
Yes, so the question was like, at what age or class do you think the students should like seriously prepare and devoting their time for the undergraduate abroad? And once they have decided to prepare, what should their ideal plan be?
Yes, good. Thanks. Yeah. So I think I pretty much answered the first part of the question. Right. And the second part of the question is about what their ideal plan should be. Now, again, this depends on you, what your interests are, where do you want to go, and all of that. But overall, what I would say is, once you have an extra career, like you think of the whole college applications process as something like, you have to pass across various checkpoints, like you have in video games, right? Like you have to pass through various checkpoints. So if you're not good at academics, then they will not even look at your SAT scores or your that thing or your extracurricular activities. So the first and the basis of your application is to be good in academics. Without that, you're most likely they're not going to consider the application seriously, unless you're a billionaire, kid, and that's a separate process. The firstly, be good in academics. Second thing is have good standardized testing scores. I do not know. I mean, I'm pretty back when I was applying, you had to give the SAT or ACT. So I would recommend, even if it is optional, my mom likes to say nothing is optional. So yeah, nothing is optional basically. Yeah, that's actually a big trip for you guys. Nothing is optional. So when you have have a good SAT ACT score, spend some time in class 11th for just exclusively for, because class 11th mein kya hota hai, what happens is that you're done with boards. If you are in the ICSC system, if I don't know what school systems you guys follow, you're done with boards. You have a bit of time for you. That's the sweet spot to actually give the SAT exam or ACT exam. Once you're done with the main SAT, ACT, one pro tip that I would give you is that do give the obviously everybody does the maths, physics subject test for SAT, but also give the subject tests in which you have the lowest grade in your entire application. So for in my example, I had good scores in English, but into my entire list of scores, English was the kind of weakest subject, right? So what I did was that I studied for the SAT literature test, and I did really, really well in that, like 96th percentile or something like that. And that was, in my opinion, was a big boost to my application. So structure a SAT subject test in that way. Third thing, and perhaps one of the most third thing, is the extracurricular activities. As Yanglam said, you cannot limit yourself to your school. Ki school mein kya kiya hai? School, like 9th, 10th se just start getting involved in the school wali activities. And jab 9th mein tumhare paas thoda time hoga, so in that time period, you can start experimenting around in the extracurricular activities. That can be like joining a volunteer organization in your hometown, interning for a member of parliament, or a member of legislative assembly, or some government, like the DM's office in that meanwhile, in the summer. Nowadays, I've seen politicians are getting pretty liberal on this stuff. So yeah, try it. There's the LAMP fellowship or something I've heard. So people go for that also. That's, you get directly assigned to an MP's office, and then you work for them full time. You also have to go to constituency. Also, you can spend your summer wisely and do extra stuff outside of your school. But that doesn't mean you don't do nothing in school. You have to be clear about the extracurricular activities you want to be school ex-captain in or ex-in charge of, right from 9th, 10th. Join those clubs, join those organizations, and rise to the top by the time you're in 11th, 12th, or at least very senior positions. So yes, that was overall. And then finally, and I think Meera dwelt on it a lot. It was this thing was about the application essays. You have to be good at you have to finally be good at expressing yourself. You have to whatever you've done, you have to, when you're writing your essays, don't replicate your resume. Actually talk about the human experiences you felt while doing those extracurricular activities, or perhaps even preparing for an exam or something like that. So yeah, that would be overall my advice. Yes, yeah, I think that's it. I hope that answered your question, Meet, and I hope
Yes,
I didn't take too long. Yeah.
Thank you, sir, for such an engaging interaction, and thank you for sharing such insights with us today. So, best wishes for your upcoming journey, and over to you for Khushi Didi.
Thank you, Meet. Our third speaker for the day is Mr. Arman Danda. He is a STEM student with an interest in business and entrepreneurship. He is determined to advance the future of food through biotechnology and conscious capitalism. He has participated in various national level challenges and projects. After leaving his bachelor's degree in chemistry honors from St. Stephen's College, he joined the National University of Singapore to pursue a degree in chemical engineering. He has received scholarships from various prestigious universities from the United Kingdom and Canada. He is the founder of Diabetic Cure, a research cum awareness-based organization that aims to raise awareness about type 2 diabetes and increase testing rates in urban and rural regions of India. The initiative was appreciated by Dr. Anup Mishra, a Padam Shri awardee and former honorary physician to the Prime Minister of India. So my question for you would be, why did you leave BSc course in St. Stephen, despite it being a tier 1 college in India, and it's a dream for many people?
Correct. Firstly, thank you so much for having me. Instead of answering that head on, I'd like to just give my thoughts on what I've been hearing throughout the sessions. I'll be a bit candid. It might offend some people, but the first thing is that academics are the most important. Extracurriculars always come secondary. It is more about how you're able to tell your story, how you're able to leverage. Academics are the first thing. Second most important thing, in my opinion, is how good you are to your teachers. It might sound very obnoxious, but you have to get good letters of recommendation, and you can only get those if you have a good relationship. You have to be humble, you have to be the good kid, you have to do well in class. So getting that out of the conversation, the first thing is academics, which has opened most doors for me. I'll not lie. Because up till I think 12th, it was solely academics, sports on the side because I enjoyed them. Nothing was ever out of compulsion. One more advice is for people is that once they're in, let's say, 10th and starting with 11th, get on LinkedIn. Just feel that inferiority, not complex, but that the sense of inferiority, as I'd like to call it, that is very important to understand once you're in 11th. Because if you're seeing people your age or your immediate seniors achieving these things, you have a clear path or at least an idea or a direction that you can follow. Instead of going on webinars or even asking people, LinkedIn is the place to be. Stalk people. I always tell people, stalk people, look up to people, and just start a conversation. You'll get you'll get more insights from that. One more thing is that don't be, let's say, hell-bent on doing computer science or finance or just the fields that pay a lot. I always wanted to do biotechnology. Now I'm doing chemical engineering. Interests change, but try to find an area where there's not a lot of competition so that it's easier for you to stand out, right? And that level comes when you combine the fields. For example, your skill set is CS, but your interest is finance. There might be 100 people in each, but if you apply one in the other, your competition is practically reduced. Keeping all of that aside and answering the real question, why did I leave Stephens? A brilliant question. I was well settled. I was doing pretty decent. The path ahead was also solid. But the first thing is that I never wanted to stay in India because the field which I want to enter is not given a lot of importance. There isn't much research. I'd already interacted with most of the people in the space, and I was practically being restricted in the scenario. It was a great learning experience, honed a lot of my skills, my conversation skills, the way that I interact. But in terms of the opportunities, you had to create themselves, create it yourself. So Stephens is a tier 1 college, but I was doing chemistry there. Chemistry at Stephens is not as good as economics or history or English at Stephens, right? Though it can open a lot of doors. So I totally agree to young Lem. I also started preparing for the foreign admissions process as early as 9th because I was hell-bent on doing good. I was hell-bent on performing well. The goal then was to score 98% in boards. So it can be different at different points. But instead of having a goal, have a clear direction. Because in my opinion, goals are futile. They'll lead to a lot of unhappiness. I've seen that firsthand last year. But the reason that I left Stephens was that it was restricting me and the curriculum was a bit outdated. What I'll be doing at NUS is directly applicable because out of the 5 courses I have in my first semester, only one is core chemical engineering. The rest 4 are design thinking, project management, AI, the things that are actually used. The curriculum at Stephens, although brilliant, is still archaic. It's from the 1980s. And sorry for the very long answer.
No, that's okay. Thank you so much.
Hello, Mr. Alman. My question to you is similar to the previous one. Like, do you have like a particular reason for enrolling in a foreign university and leaving the Indian ones? And what challenges might some students face due to culture and unfamiliarity while staying abroad?
All right, a great question. The reason of studying abroad for me was the freedom. Freedom in terms of how I can live personally. Second was the things that I can do. The field which I want to enter is the space of food, the future of food. Singapore is a very policy forward nation. So any activity that I take part in, it will lead to exponential growth in my professional life as compared to India. I think one more reason is the freedom of the course. In India, I was doing chemistry and I was only doing chemistry. I was, again, as I said, I was still being restricted. The interests for me are pretty varied. They're also in behavioral econ, They vary from core business, entrepreneurship, core sciences, as well as engineering. And only doing chemistry, I was thinking, bhai, main kahan fas gaya hu? I shouldn't be here. So the course here gives me the flexibility to take part in a lot of those activities. A very, very huge reason of coming here was that everything was close by. You don't understand the importance of distance at a young age for a university, because at Stephens, they didn't have a biology department. That's the area that I want to do research in. There wasn't an incubator. There was an incubator about an hour away. And I pitched my idea. They said, "You're too young, you can't come." Here, the incubator I can see from my room. Uh, the gym, the pool are also directly visible. So having that ecosystem around you and being surrounded by people who are brilliant, who are at least better than you in one field, is what I think is best for me. Thank you. Yeah. And just one clarification. Uh, I was awarded the Science and Tech Scholarship at NUS, which is full coverage for all years with a stipend.
That's pretty amazing. I have one more question for you. Somebody who's joined the session asked the question. So the question is, Mr. Arman Dhanda, about the key things that stand. Okay, somebody wants to know about the key things that stand out in your NUS profile, and especially about the fees and the scholarship.
For sure. So the first thing is marks. No, without fail. I applied last year. They accept applications, not applications, but they won the board marks till the 16th of July. Last year, because of the delay due to COVID, they released on the 24th. So I did not end up getting an offer, spent a year at Stephens, reapplied with only marks, without anything else. I got the offer, was shortlisted for the scholarship on the basis of the marks, solely on the basis of marks, which was followed by submission of an essay. Now, here extracurriculars come in. Here it is very important for you to be different than others. Correct? It's very important for you to be an outlier. You should be doing something different. So it was a personal essay. They gave me 2 days to submit, which was followed by an online interview of, I think, 45 minutes to an hour. Again, a casual conversation. Here, your skills with conversation, your skills with convincing people, leverage, storytelling come in. So what everybody has said is true, is very, very important. Extracurriculars build your profile, extracurriculars build your persona. But in order to get those opportunities, as Devan said, it's a stepwise process, right? The first thing is academics. If you don't have the profile, you will not be shortlisted for most of the opportunities that you would like. And in terms of profile, you have to stand out thoda sa. You have to do something different, but never force yourself to do that. Never put yourself in that situation. It will come automatically. Explore, just explore, and don't be intimidated. LinkedIn se hona, logo se mat hona, thoda sa.
Thank you so much. You've been an excellent contributor to the session. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
So next we will be hearing from Ms. Sachi Ahuja. She's an incoming fresher at London College of Fashion, majoring in the fashion management, and her strength is her attitude. She has been part of various round square conferences, as well as she went as an exchange student to the Athenian School, USA. She helped organize fundraisers and participated in MUNs and online courses throughout her school life. During the COVID pandemic, she started her social service project, Prerna for You and .us, which intends to eradicate various predominant issues prevalent in our society with the illuminating rays of education, inspiration, hope, and awareness. Currently, she has also been learning about Adobe Photoshop as well as Illustrator. She enjoys music, going to the gym, and aesthetics. So, ma'am, pursuing a fashion course, like what kind of exams and extracurriculars or internship or recommendations do you look forward to in your journey?
Hi everyone, I'm Sachi Ahuja. I'm going to have a different point of view on academics because I'm from a fashion school. So for us, academics is not everything. For me, it was for a business course, obviously, but for like an art school, your own profile your mood boards, your interest in the fashion industry matters more. So that's that. But management, wait, firstly, I was confused about fashion management or business management. Back in 11th grade, I had the choice, but I did take up commerce, but I was confused in which field did I go, should I go? So I applied to the US, I applied to the Canada, I applied to UK as well, because I was still confused. So like for UK, I applied to business courses and LCF, just LCF. And then in the US, I applied to FIT, and that's it. And then in Canada, UBC. I limited my choices because these are the schools that I liked. So I did get into FIT, I did get into UBC, I got into schools in the UK, I got into LCF. But the part that played importance in my journey was my extracurriculars. And I would like to pay importance on internships, the courses I took. And I was also a holder for the IAYP award. That also helped a lot because in UK it's appreciated. Then leadership, definitely. People talked about leadership positions, and that show a lot of you and how you express yourself. So that's again very important for fashion schools and stuff like that. Then sports, definitely. Also, I would pay importance if you could learn an additional language. Like I spent learning French. So that was definitely an add-on because then you're seen as someone who knows languages. So definitely that's there. And for internships, to be honest, because I was confused about what I want to do, I took internships that related to business. Like, for example, like marketing. I took up a lot of internships in marketing. And then I worked in my own dad's factory, learning about supply chains, revenue operations, and stuff like that, which was really interesting as well. But I knew my heart belonged to fashion, and definitely that's what I decided on later on, that I'm going to do fashion management. That's about it. And I would like to also pay, like, again, foreign exposure is very important. So in my school, we had Round Square. And for Round Square, you get a lot of opportunity, not only in service, but conferences and meeting new people, which was super fun. And then when I went on exchange, I got the exposure of being in an American school, and it was a private school. Like, to be honest, things were so different. Having just 10 people in your class is weird to me. But the type of education that I experienced, I was like damn sure that I want to go abroad, and I do want to not stick to the Indian restrictions of like scoring grades, ratta maro, and all of that. I'm past it. I didn't score good in my 10th grade. I was not that brilliant student in academics. But move on, I'm in the best fashion school right now. So just to like motivate you guys that whatever you're passionate about, you can do it. Yeah, marks add on to it, but I feel that if you're passionate about it, you can do anything. Like, for example, I would like to put importance on the fact that during the UK application, you have to write down a personal statement, which actually shows your passion towards the course and the university. And it really adds on. Like, I wrote my essay from my heart, and I think the universities really appreciate that. So that's about it. And any other questions?
Yeah, I have a question for you. Thank you for the previous answer. It's really wonderful that you're at the place you really wanted to be. So what are the prerequisites and some characteristics you think foreign institutes look for in an applicant, especially a fashion school?
Yeah, so I think they definitely look at your extracurriculars. I would like to add importance. Like for me, I was going for the field of business basically in the fashion industry. So like I was the CEO of the school company. We had our own company. We designed products. We launched a company. We had account managers, product managers, and everything, that sort of thing. So I think if you have stuff like that on your hand, it really shows the university that how passionate about you are about the course that you want to do. So everything links through that. So I try to plan up my CV in the form that it is linked to my course now, because I always knew that I wanted to go into business. I was just confused about what area I should go in. And then definitely people talked about how you should start from your 9th grade. yes, definitely start from your 9th grade. I started my journey from the 9th grade. And they definitely look for your English scores like the IELTS, the TOEFLs. For some universities, it's just a normal certification or a thing, but they do matter. I mean, if you have an 8.5 in your IELTS, it definitely shows that you're confident in the language. Then the financial support matters a lot. By chance in LCF, we didn't have any undergrad scholarships, but for postgrad, definitely. There were a lot of them, but then that's later on. I hope I get one. What else? I think if you show your passion to the university, I think that's the only thing you need. Like my personal statement, I think I was highly recommended by the admission office because I had a pre-session with them, and they said that your personal statement speaks so much about you that it gives everything. You can talk about your extracurriculars, you can talk about your passion, you can talk about anything like in that personal statement in like about a few words. Like I think the limit, I forgot. It's been like I applied in 11th grade. I'm so sorry, but there's a specific limit to that. And if you guys want, I could definitely share my profile, my whatever I did, because I even made my CV with a special format and a way to go about it. Like I think that's very important. Like if you make the thing attractive, I'm sure like the person is going to like it. So I try to make my application more of like I designed it and stuff like that, and I gave a very good like heading and stuff like that. I could share that. I really like my CV. I could just share how could you could go about it. And if you guys even want, I could give tips on how to write a personal statement for your fashion, like fashion schools and stuff like that. Yeah, so that's about it.
And that would be very helpful. Thank you. Those answers were wonderful, and we wish you a very fashionable future ahead.
Thank you. Any questions? Like, do you want me to answer?
I
No,
guess
I'm
not,
good.
and we're on a time limit, so we'll move to the next speaker.
All right, perfect.
Thank you so much, Sachin.
Thank you.
I would now like to welcome our last speaker, Mr. Sahodaya De, who is a policy enthusiast and incoming freshman on the History UGCRT at the University of Cambridge. He is currently engaged in bringing out his upcoming book with the NBT as Prime Minister's Yuva Fellow under the Ministry of Education, Government of India. Sahodaya has had many governmental and non-governmental work exposures. He has formerly been associated with several media organizations, task force, and ministries. And for his attempts to revitalize Indian culture through literature, was honored by the President of India with the Rashtriya Bal Puraskar in 2021. Mr. Sahodaya, it is very evident from your introduction that you have been involved in various extracurriculars and supercurriculars. Many students are often confused between the meaning of the two terms. Would you mind explaining the difference between the two in detail?
Well, hi, thank you so much for the introduction.
Yeah, I guess
There's a problem in your mic or something. It is not really audible.
You hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
I'm just going to take this off. I'm sorry. Apologies for the inconvenience. Okay. To draw the distinction, I think, firstly, between extracurriculars and supercurriculars, it's pertinent to have a look at what these terms actually imply. So I'm going to drop in a link, first of all, in the chat to a guide, a very insightful guide by the University of Cambridge on what supercurricular activities exactly are and how they enhance your application, the UCAS application more specifically. So when I talk about extracurricular, it's extra in the sense you do it beyond the curricular activities at school. Kind of relatable to the X factor in your application when you're applying to US universities, more specifically for the IVs. But in this regard, it's also important to know that we could class it into different categories, including under internships, voluntary activities, and of course, sports. For the latter, especially, I think when it forms a valuable addition to your common application or the coalition application to the US universities when you've played at the national level for several years or won a few accolades representing your country at the internationals, but not really those of inter-school or state. So that enables you, the fact that you played in the nationals or in the internationals enables you to be recruited directly into several top institutions and their athletic teams more specifically. So I have this friend who received his recruitment for the CS degree at Amherst alongside the Amherst squash team for the class of 2026 this year, alongside admission, the early decision, of course. Now, extracurriculars, as I said, is super helpful, but at the same time, it's important to note that from my experience at universities in the UK, primarily the Oxbridge, St Andrews, and the top-notch, London universities like the LSE and SOAS, they're not very interested in hearing about your accolades in sports or your positions in school clubs and stuff of that like. Because primarily it in no way enhances the academic component of your application, which they specifically state should be around 80%. By academics, it's not just the grades that you get in school, but also the interest, the passion, as Sachi, who came before me, stated that you have for the particular subject. So this is where I come to supercurriculars, which are more of activities you do beyond your classroom, but those enhance directly or indirectly your academic culture, rather than go beyond academics into volunteering or sports. Now, so what are basically those that come under supercurricular activities? You could have research activities like I did at several universities. You could have independent research projects guided by mentors from universities, internships with governmental ministries and autonomous institutes that directly relate to the course you want to apply to. And some of those other allied aspects that fall under the broader parasol. But what becomes the sort of X factor in the way you present the supercurricular activities through the UCAS personal statement, which, by the way, is this 4,000 characters, is that you relate those, a select few of those, to your academic abilities and not just list them. So essay competitions are primarily important for the Oxbridge candidates, Oxbridge applicants. So I'll be stating a few competitions like the Marshall Society Economics competition, the essay competition by the John Locke Institute, the New College of Humanities, the Robson Prize at Trinity Cambridge, the Theology essay at St Andrews also offers you scholarship and admission, and the Queen's Commonwealth essay. So these really do help. And that's basically, what unis in the UK are primarily interested in. You didn't just work in a hospital, for instance. You worked in the clinical psychology department, and you were, in a way, experientially, exposed to things you'd want to study about university, or things that better helped you form a broader perspective on decision regarding the certain aspects of human behavioral psychology. That's just an example, but that's the way you're going to frame it in the personal statement you write. So yeah, just a brief overview, but I think the link I dropped in here would, to some extent, help you guys in getting a clearer idea of what the supercurricular activities imply.
Okay, so that was a nice answer, Bhaiya. So as a student of the liberal arts at Cambridge, what advice would you give to the students regarding their CVs and co-curriculars, and who would like to pursue the same, especially the ones who are not able to find many opportunities? Would you also mind sharing a bit about your experience using the UCAS for UK applications and the common app for the US ones?
Okay, those are very, very distinct ones, first of all. And also talking about the CV or the resume, you don't need to submit one to Cambridge or to the Oxbridge universities in general when you're applying for admission through the UCAS, but rather just list a few activities in the activities section, specifically intended for the purpose on UCAS. To talk about liberal arts, it's quite a broad term for a degree course at Cambridge, which most other UK universities focus on one particular subject of inquiry rather than a holistic humanistic development as in the US counterparts. But talk about the generic meaning liberal arts stands for. I think different aspects are studied to some extent in great depth in courses like the HSPS, the history tripos, English, and of course land economy, which is a very sort of an underdog course at Cambridge. And to stick to the subject of your interest and how your, as I said earlier, supercurricular activities have helped broaden your vision, that should still be gravitating around the subject, of course, would be a mandatory thing to do when writing the personal statement or UCAS application. Now, additionally, for the University of Cambridge, you need to file up, this thing called the SAQ. It's the supplementary application questionnaire specifically intended for Cambridge. I'm not sure if the other universities are interested in SAQs of the like. Secondly, when applying to the UK universities, either that be through the UCAS or to foundation programs and pathways directly, or through the common application to universities like St Andrews and the University of Arts London that do accept common application from international applicants. It's important in all of these cases to favor the academic component of things, as I have been focusing on from the very start, as opposed to the extracurricular activities. So UK universities are, and I'm going to repeat this, they're not really interested in hearing you talk about your doings at school clubs or local dance and sports fests, but rather how that has impacted your knowledge and your interest in the subject of your choice. Also, since the SOP is limited to 4,000 characters, not words, do not add, people often do that. So it's evident from the guidebooks they post. One very insightful guidebook is the one presented by the LSE on the history statement. So do not add, quotations, do not repeat ideas, do not repeat activities or list them. Just show how you formulate your arguments, not just copy them from a book by a luminary you might have studied at school. So what you may also do is highlight a few readings that have had a great impact on you, but in a way that relates to what you want to pursue, talking about the opinions that you personally have on that particular issue. And coming to the second part, for people who haven't lamentably had the chance to pursue different activities, UK universities are absolutely okay with what you provided, in the academic component part, given it has a strong base on the degree course you are willing to pursue. So send them some super awesome and informative essays, which are primarily required for admissions to the Oxbridge Institutes, and that should help, yeah.
Well, there is one more question from the chat. So what are the good jobs for the political science, history, anthropology, kinds of subject in abroad, and part of what that are humanities stream subjects, and then student can opt if they want to live abroad.
A very good pathway, I think, after pursuing a degree like history or politics, is you can always opt to go into the law career. So you basically need to pursue a GDL once you graduate. So I'm planning for that, in fact. And once you are done pursuing a graduate diploma in law, you get called as a barrister to one of the the inns of courts in London. But apart from that, I personally plan to enter the civil service, hopefully in future. So to some extent, you have a broad range of opportunities, not necessarily so broad as the ones in the STEM fields might be. But I think there's a chat. Okay, yeah. Also about the workshop, I think you could always use summer schools in the UK. So there's a university called the University of Bath, just for informative purposes, that offers a wonderful summer course in the summer. So this year the course just got over, and it is for free for students interested and selected, and they primarily focus on business management as an aspect of the course, so you guys could try out that. So there's that. And about the career opportunities, it's not just limited to the field that you pursue, because as I said, you have different roles, but primarily I am interested in exploring the arenas in government and diplomacy, and the ones that relate to careers in law. So yeah.
So like, thank you, Bhaiya. Thank you, sir, for such an like insightful session. And like, now we would be asking the questions from the chat and what the students have asked in the like registration form. So there is one question for Devansh Bhaiya. It was like, I am not excellent. I am not excellent at academics, but practically I am fluent in computer aided designing software and my expertise at DCS flight simulators virtually rated on Sukhoi 25. Will I be able to reach UG Berkeley, San Diego for computer engineering hardware?
Whoever this is, I really appreciate that they've provided so many details about that particular application. Now I'm just an FYI for everybody, guys. We are not college admissions officers. We are people with experience in the process. So I don't know much about this candidate, though I can provide a few comments based on whatever few bits of information that this guy is going. Firstly, put me in touch with this guy. I need to know more about. I'm super interested in the defense industry. So yeah, that's the first thing. Second thing is, I think he does stand a pretty strong chance of getting in somewhere good. Given that this thing has gotten into a proper, like, his research or whatever his work has gotten into a full-fledged fighter jet. I think that's a pretty big achievement. You're contributing to the defense of the country. I'm sure he might have gotten some other rewards and all for his research too. So there are there's a like rider on the thing of academics, being paramount. If there is something that really makes you stand out, then perhaps academics, universities are willing to overlook academics. Something like, acting in a prominent role in a Bollywood movie, for example. So yes, I mean, you can, given this guy's background, he'll land up somewhere good in the engineering side. I don't know which place. I mean, what class is this guy in?
It was Prasoon, I guess. He haven't mentioned his class.
Okay, and can you repeat what did he do for the Sukhoi fighter jet? What seems to be pretty.
So I am fluent at computer aided designing softwares, and my expertise at DCS flight simulators virtually rated on Sukhoi 25. Will I be able to like reach UC Berkeley, San Diego?
Yeah, I think I can't I can't name the colleges and all, but I think he'll get in somewhere really good for engineering. So yeah, he should definitely apply. Yeah.
I guess there is another question for you, because you are personally computer science. So it's from Abhijan. So hi, I would like to pursue a CS degree, but I am in 10th grade right now. But do not have an impressive CV. As I started preparing late. Would you recommend I take up an undergraduate degree from India and then go for masters in foreign university, or go for UG in foreign universities?
That's actually a good question. Now, at the risk of kind of pressurizing Avi and pretty much a lot of other people out here also, I would say it's not an either or question. You can do both. I have a friend, a classmate of mine who's also from Lucknow actually, at Stanford. He was initially doing IIT JEE preparation. And then and he had stellar grades like 99% and all grades. So in class 12, but don't do what this guy did. Okay, but I'm just giving an example. In class 12, he decided that, hey, why not try abroad? So he just, built up his CV, like did all the stuff that you have to do, like, started an app, projects, MUN and name it. And he got into Stanford. So the 10th grade is good. You're actually starting, you're not behind. You can start building your CV right now. And as who was it? As one of the other participants said, I'm forgetting his name. Arman, yes, I think, yeah. As Arman said, instead of CS, you can apply for another degree which is less competitive and build your CV towards that. Or perhaps go for interdisciplinary actually. Instead of being focused on CS, do things that are both that involve CS plus hard engineering, right? applying it like for some really really technical kind of things. I mean, like for example, in government's defense programs and all, have something really unique instead of being saying, hey, I got a prize in a coding competition. We get lots of people who got prizes in a coding competition. So Avi, don't demotivate yourself right now that you're in 10th. 10th is fine. I think you can work on making a good CV. I would recommend that you can do both. You can also apply for abroad and also apply for India. My overall recommendation though would be that if you can go abroad, do go abroad first. Unless, see, going to a tier, if your ultimate aim is getting a master's in a tier 1 institution abroad, it's better to start out from a tier 2 institution in the US. I'm specifically talking about US, as opposed to starting out from a tier 2 institution in India. So that is one kind of calculation that you have to make. But if you think you can make it to a tier 1 institution in India as opposed to a tier 2 institution abroad, then I would recommend going for a tier 1 institution in India. So make those calculations and all. And yeah, like once you arrive in the US, your perspective widens and all. Like it's all, even if you go to a tier 2 or tier 3 school in the US, I would recommend it over going to a tier 2 or tier 3 school in India. So make those calculations, and 10th is not too late. That's what I would say. Yeah.
Okay, Bhaiya. So I guess that was the question for you. And there is one question for like Arman Dhanda Bhaiya. Let me narrate that. So how does one deal with academic recommendations when there isn't a chance to interact with faculty, and whether the subject chosen for further studies must align with the subject teacher who wrote the academic recommendation?
So
Was that-
it's primarily around your LORs, right? Letters of recommendation.
Yes, I guess.
Can you reiterate the question? I missed some keywords.
Okay, huh. So I'm also posting in the chat box. So the question was, how does one deal with academic recommendations when there isn't a chance to interact with faculty, and whether the subject chosen for further studies must align with the subject teacher who wrote the academic recommendations?
All right. So my first clarification is that, are you asking from the school point of view? The person who asked the question can unmute and ask. But if it's from the school point of view, you'd have to find some common ground. In terms of interacting with faculty at school, at max, there might be 60 people in your class. In college, there are 200, 300, 400. So if you're not able to interact in a class of 60, at least try to. School level पे तो सभी बात कर सकते हैं teachers से, ऐसा कोई बड़ी बात नहीं है. But at the university level, the best way that I found is cold emailing if you don't know the professor. Second is, if you have an impressive LinkedIn profile, directly approach them on LinkedIn after you've built some connections in and around that. But the best way is to, instead of just approaching from the point of view of a recommendation, build relationships. Not even connections, I'd say build relationships. Relationships across sectors are important. They compound over time. So in order to get a good recommendation, you need a very good relationship, a genuine relationship, which you can't fake.
Okay, so there was a question that like any one of the speaker can answer. So like, do AP classes really matter? And does universities consider AP courses taken online on platforms such as EDX and not giving AP exams?
Yeah, I can hop in for that because AP is directly relevant for the United States. Now, specifically, I'm a bit confused about the last part. What did they say?
It was like,
They can unmute themselves, by the way. I might want to clarify on this. So whoever it is, they can unmute themselves and ask it directly to. But yeah, what was it, mean?
Does universities consider AP courses taken on online platforms such as EDX and not giving AP exams?
I mean, if you haven't taken the exam, then I mean, I don't know if you've taken the course. Like, I mean, the exam is necessary as a proof that, this guy actually learned something in the learned something in the course. So I think it is it's quite you have to give the exam. Now, whether the AP exam helps you in the college application process or not is something that is an open question. It's not strictly necessary. I didn't give the AP, but I also did the IB diploma program. So actually, another tip: if your school offers one, go for the international. Just a moment, guys. If your school offers one, go for the international board or whatever that you have. But I've seen people getting offers without taking the AP exam. What AP does help you in, and this is more of a general advice. God, this guy's yeah. What AP does help you in is getting credits for college. That's really helpful. So like, you can skip a few courses and all if you have the AP exam credits. So perhaps, you can do AP after you get in. Like if you got an offer from a great place, you're going there. You have a bit of time in the summer, use it, skip a few courses, and then just take the APs for that.
I guess Arman Bhaiya wants to say something.
Yeah, yes. Though I didn't apply to the US, I do have a lot of friends and I've had deep conversations with them. The best part about AP is that they're challenging to score good. It's not very easy to get a 5 on 5 in subjects. So if you, let's say, have 3 APs or 5 APs with 5s, that is a lot better than a very good score in an SAT. SAT is for a general aptitude. APs are primarily for a focused attention to your course. So if you have the time, again, under no compulsion, I do know a lot of people, most of the people don't give APs and then get in. The credit aspect is also what motivates people. But if you think that your marks aren't as good and you still want to stand a chance to get into the best universities, doing very well in AP is generally the recommended path. And just one more point is that if you're from the Indian board, ISC, CBSC, then applying to Cambridge for a STEM major at the undergrad level, you need to have one of two things. One is a top 2000 rank in JEE Advanced, or you need to have 5 out of 5 in 5 APs. 5 out of 5 in 5 APs. So, yeah, just want to clear some things.
Also, we would be taking some screenshots. So if anyone can like open up their videos, it would be good.
Yeah, I wanted to follow up on that actually. It's Arman actually put a great idea. Now, in this, as I put on the chat, I'm feeling a bit old. When it's subject, like I spoke about subject tests when you initially asked me, like earlier on in the event, you asked me about college application advice in general. So instead of like, let's say you've not done well in a particular subject, right? And I recommended that you take the SAT subject test. Now, instead of the subject test, take the AP for that subject. So if I was applying right now and my English course would have still been like, not the best in my entire thing, I would have taken the AP English literature test. So doing something like that would be targeted APs for this for the subjects that you haven't done well in would be a great strategy.
Okay, well. So like there's one more question and anyone can answer. Like studying abroad can often be like shunned by the family or relatives. Did you have to deal with such experiences while leaving a prestigious Indian university?
I think Meera and I both can answer this. I'll just take my shot. I've been very fortunate to have parents that are very supportive, and they also knew that I wasn't being exposed to what I wanted out of a degree. It was not only getting a piece of paper, it was actually the learning process, because learning also compounds over time. You get a lot higher return on learning than only a degree. So the point of view was totally different. Very grateful to have supportive parents, I see. Yeah.
I agree, and I just want to add that in India, people typically don't apply abroad for undergrad, and that kind of has a certain stigma to it. But since we mostly come from supportive families, like Arman said, I'm very grateful to my family for always being there. I think you can apply and just try your luck. You never know what will happen.
Okay. So also Sahodra Bhaiya have posted a lot of information in the chat box. Please look out to it. Like with this last interaction, I guess there is no more questions. So the session would come to an end, and we thank you everyone for staying with us like throughout the session. The speakers and the attendees. We would like to invite Anushka Khatri Didi for the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Meet. So it has been a great honor to be a part of this wonderful event. On the behalf of the whole organization, I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to our esteemed speakers, Mr. Devan Sharma, Mr. Sahodey De, Mr. Arman Thanda, Ms. Meera Nair, Mr. Yanglim Arjun, Ms. Sachi Hoja. I hope I am okay with the pronunciations of all of them. So thank you all for your presence. Sincere thanks to all the head of various departments who handled the event throughout. A wide round of applause to all, and thanks to the participants who made the event a wonderful and memorable one. Lastly, I would like to say a few words about the organization. So for those who are new to the family, Studomatrix is a school students organization which aims to provide a platform to all the school students and the university students as well to unleash their potential, showcase their talent, develop their skills, and provide them with an experience of an application of these skills. We aim to fulfill the ideas and aspirations of students. If you wish to join the organization, please do reach out to us. Finally, I would like to thank all of you to taking out time to be with us today and helping us to make this event a great success. Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Anushka. And to others, one thing is for sure that, extra and super curriculars and academics are very important to upgrade your profile, enhance your personality, and increase your chances of getting into your dream university. But you still might be wondering how to get such opportunities, how to learn such life skills, or how to go about this whole process. So that's where we come in. You can follow us up on Instagram. We are at @Studomatrix, STUDOMATRIX. Check out the working, check out the participation opportunities we offer. Stay updated about more such webinars. And there are a lot of activities that we keep posting and we are organizing. So you all can be a part. It will upgrade your profile. So all the best for your future. I hope that you guys fly to your dream university, and you're most welcome for our assistance. You're most welcome to Studomatrix. Meet will be dropping a link in the chat box right now. There you can register to be a part of Studomatrix. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you to all the speakers who joined today. Thank you.
The link for the session, the recording would be uploaded on the YouTube, and we would be sharing the link, so you can also share this session if you wanna to your friends. Also, I'm dropping the registration link. Let me see if it works. Yeah.
You can perhaps share. We'll perhaps share the same on the group as well.
Let's end the session now. You can start leaving. And thank you for joining.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, guys.